everybody, this is Uncle Larry B, and I'd like to thank every one of you out there for watching my videos and subscribing to my channel. What I try to do is I try to make these videos interesting for young pilots and for young people who want to become pilots, as well as people who are already pilots and maybe want to get a little bit more proficient in what they do. Well, today we're going to talk about one of the things that's unique to twin-engine airplanes, and that's called engine-out VMC. So with a single-engine plane, when you have an engine out, you want to pitch down and just go in for a landing. If you're high enough, you can try to circle around and land on the runway in which you took off. But with a twin-engine plane, there are several factors that you have to keep in mind. VMC, that's capital V with a little MC, stands for the velocity of minimum control. And at the velocity of minimum control, you lose control of the airplane, and a twin will typically flip upside down and crash. So basically, you have to do a certain number of things as soon as you lose an engine. You have to, I'll show you with this airplane. So when you're taking off and you lose an engine, say we lose this engine. So this engine is going to create drag while this engine is going to create thrust. That means the plane is going to turn like this. It's going to try to fly forward on an angle like that. And with the wind hitting this big broad side of the airplane, that's going to slow the airplane down tremendously. And the one thing we don't want to do is we don't want to lose speed. We don't want to get to that VMC. So on takeoff, if you lose an engine, the first thing you want to do is pitch down to blue line, which is the single engine best rate of climb speed. And your airplane will have some adverse yaw because of the drag over here and the thrust over here. And the rudder pedal that gets mushy is the rudder pedal of the dead engine. So in this instance, the right rudder pedal would get mushy. So we call that dead foot, dead engine. The left rudder pedal is going to be hard to push down, but as you push the left rudder pedal down, the airplane will straighten out and will fly more aerodynamically and lose less speed. So we've pitched down, we've corrected the adverse yaw, and we make sure that our flaps are up, that our gear is up, and we make sure that we raise the dead engine. So when this engine has quit, this wing is going to drop a little bit. So we want to raise it about 3 degrees higher than the other engine. So once again, we're taking off. We lose an engine, we pitch down to blue line, which is the single engine best rate of climb speed. We press on the working rudder to get the plane straight, and we raise the wing of the dead engine. That's called raising the dead, because you're raising the dead engine. Okay, we'll get into more of this as the video continues, but I just wanted to give you a brief idea of what we're going to talk about today. And just tell all of you, thank you very much for watching the channel. I appreciate it from the bottom of my heart, and I try to make the videos as helpful for everyone as possible. So thanks again for watching. Smash that thumbs up button and subscribe to my channel. Thank you very much. Hey there, this is Uncle Larry B, and today we're going to talk about engine-out emergencies in a twin-engine airplane. I'm your favorite uncle, I hope, and thanks for viewing, and thanks for all your subscriptions, and may all your dreams come true in your life. This isn't for actual flight instruction. Please note that I am not a flight instructor, and this is not a professional flight instruction video. This is just things that I have learned to do over the years of flying a twin-engine plane. When most light twins lose an engine, they lose up to 80% of their power for flight. An engine out is a true emergency in a small twin-engine aircraft. The following are some concepts to learn, as well as some immediate reactions which may save your life and the lives of your passengers. There are four main factors which affect flight that we should talk about first. Those are thrust, drag, lift, and weight or gravity. Thrust pulls us forward, lift raises us up in the air, drag holds us back and reduces our speed, and weight or gravity pulls us toward the earth. An airplane will fly if lift is greater than weight or gravity and thrust is greater than drag. Twin-engine airplanes have two sites of thrust, unlike single-engine planes. Each engine is a site of thrust. Here's some brief aerodynamics. Any aircraft flies more efficiently if its long axis is into the oncoming relative wind direction. In other words, it flies more efficiently head-on into the wind and very inefficiently if it is turned at an angle to the oncoming wind. The more oblique the long axis of an aircraft is to the wind, the more energy it takes to keep it moving through the air. Airplanes don't fly well sideways, do they? For example, when traveling at 60 miles per hour in a car, put your hand out the window in a palm up or palm down position. Your hand is pretty aerodynamic in this position and it creates minimal wind resistance. Now put your hand out the window with your palm facing the direction you're going. Wow, feel all the wind resistance now? So not being aerodynamic creates a lot of wind resistance. That's the idea. When a plane's nose is pointing directly into the oncoming wind, it is as low resistance as it can be. Very aerodynamic. When an aircraft's flat side is more into the wind, that's called adverse yaw, it creates much more resistance and slows the aircraft speed and requires much more power to maintain speed above the velocity of minimum control, VMC. Again, VMC is the velocity of minimum control. Any speed below VMC results in the inability to maintain aircraft control and therefore a loss of control of the aircraft, resulting in a crash. The picture on your left is a normal plane running smoothly with the nose heading straight on into the air. And on the left image, that airplane is very aerodynamic. On the right image, the right engine has quit. You see a little X in front of the right engine. So the left engine is producing thrust and the right engine is producing drag. That makes the plane yaw. It makes the nose turn toward the dead engine and creates an effect where the wind is hitting the fuselage a little bit more sideways than the picture on the left where it's hitting the nose straight on. So the picture on the right, there's going to be a lot of increased drag as the nose yaws toward the dead engine. And that's a concept to learn. The nose yaws toward the dead engine. So in the picture on the left, the inoperative engine is the right engine, and the nose yaws toward the right because that side has drag. The engine that's running has thrust. Now the picture on the right, the left engine has drag and the right engine has thrust. So the nose turns toward the left, toward the inoperative engine. Adverse yaw causes the path of the aircraft to be at an angle to the oncoming wind. This causes a dramatic decrease in airspeed and must be immediately corrected by pressing on the working rudder pedal. Also, don't get too slow. Stay above VMC, the velocity of minimum control. Pitch downward to blue line to maintain your airspeed. Raise the dead engine about 3 degrees above the working engine, and that's called raise the dead. Again, VMC is the velocity of minimum control. It's different for different aircraft. Once you get below this speed, you lose control of the aircraft. In my Cessna 310R, VMC just happens to be 80 knots indicated airspeed. Okay, the blue line on the airspeed indicator indicates the velocity of the best rate of climb on a single engine, VYSE. That's known as the best single engine rate of climb, VYSE, and that's the blue line. The VMC is a red line on the airspeed indicator or on the airspeed tape on newer equipment. So where do you find VMC and VYSE? In an emergency, they're on your airspeed indicator. The old style, they're around the outside of the airspeed indicator along its peripheral edge. And the new style, they're on the speed tape on the left side of the primary flight display or the PFD. If it's not an emergency, of course, you can look in your pilot's operating handbook for that particular aircraft to find what the VMC and the VYSE is on a twin-engine airplane. Okay, so here's a look at an old-school altimeter, and you can see the red line at 80 knots is VMC, and the blue line at about 107 is VYSE. So the single engine best rate of climb would be 107. The blue line, which we never want to go below, is at 80 knots indicated airspeed. Here's another old school altimeter where you can see the blue line and the red line a little bit better. Again, the blue line is the best single engine rate of climb speed, and the red line is the velocity of minimum control. So if you lose an engine, you want to stay at VYSE if possible, and you definitely don't want to go below VMC. If you're at VMC and you know you're going to go below VMC, you have to pull the power back on the operating engine and just glide in the best you can and use flaps before you get to the ground. Here's an example of some newer equipment where you see the speed tape on the left. And on the speed tape, that's where when you get slow enough, you're going to see this green line is going to turn red on the speed tape when you get close to VMC. And there should be a little blue area when you get to the VYSE, the velocity of best single engine rate of climb. So as you slow down, you see the red on the speed tape on the left. And the red on the speed tape tells you that you're getting into VMC. So you do not want to go that slow. Okay, so what happens when an engine quits? You lose thrust in the dead engine and it becomes a significant source of drag. It's like an anchor. That heavy engine is no good to you at all. It becomes a big, significant drag. The good engine continues to produce thrust. So adverse yaw occurs. The thrust and the drag of the running and dead engines causes the nose to yaw toward the dead engine. And thusly, the fuselage is not headed directly into the wind anymore and is slightly broadside to the wind, which significantly deteriorates the airspeed. So you have to correct this situation immediately. Okay, so what will you see when you lose an engine. The nose of the airplane abruptly yaws toward the dead engine. So here's an example, two examples, where the nose yaws toward the dead engine. So it will always go toward the direction of the dead engine, and you can notice that looking out your window. Also, the rudder pedal on the side of the dead engine becomes mushy and depresses more easily towards the floor, and we call that the dead foot. Therefore, dead foot equals dead engine. So this would be an example of what happens if you lose an engine. So in this instance, let's say we're going to lose the left engine. So as the engine stops, this left pedal is going to get mushy. It's going to go all the way to the floor, or almost all the way to the floor. And the right pedal is going to be very hard to push. So we remember dead foot, dead engine, working foot, because you have to push so hard with it, you got to work hard to press that pedal down. Working foot, working engine. So we'll do another instance where the right engine quits. So if the right engine quits, the right pedal is going to get mushy and go to the floor. Dead foot, dead engine. The working foot, the one that has to press hard on the pedal that's up, is the working foot, working engine. So it's easy to remember dead foot, dead engine, working foot, working engine. So the side of the dead foot is the side of the dead engine. The rudder pedal on the side of the working engine becomes very hard to push and is the working foot. Therefore, we can say working foot equals working engine. So dead foot, dead engine, working foot, working engine. So the rudder pedal on the side of the working engine becomes very hard to push and is the working foot. And once again, we say working foot, working engine. And finally, what will you see? The turn and bank ball on the old style turn and bank indicators, or the slab on the new style, moves toward the working engine. So when an engine quits, the ball is going to move out of the doghouse. That's the two lines that the ball is usually between. It moves out of the doghouse toward the working engine. Or the slab moves from underneath the triangle to the working engines. So here's an example where the left engine has quit. They've already raised that left engine 3 degrees compared with the working engine, so they've raised the dead. And you can see the ball on the turn and slip indicator, in this instance, has moved over to the right toward the working engine. So what we want to do is we want to press on the right rudder pedal, which is the working pedal, and get that ball halfway back into the doghouse. And the area in the center right here is called the doghouse. So we want to get that ball halfway back into the doghouse. But at a quick glance, you can tell which engine has quit because that ball is always going to go toward the working engine. Now on modern equipment, we look up here toward the top and we see a slab underneath the triangle. Okay, so this slab is centered, so both engines are working. But if the right engine would quit working, the slab would move toward the left, toward the working engine. And if the left engine should quit working, the slab would move toward the right, toward the working engine. So the slab is just like the ball. It always moves out from under this triangle toward the working engine. So what must you immediately do when you lose an engine? You must immediately pitch down to a blue line speed. And you need to pitch fast enough to feel light in your seat. Just like when you go on a roller coaster, you need to feel light in your seat. So you need to pitch down rapidly because your airspeed will deteriorate very rapidly. And then within 3 seconds, if possible, make sure all levers are forward: throttle, prop, and mixture. And here's a hint: if you hold all the levers forward with your right hand on every takeoff, you'll already know that they're forward. Then you want to check the flaps, make sure they're up. And on my plane, we take off with no flaps, so we know they're up. And the third thing, landing gear. You want to check that the landing gear is up. So very rapidly, within 3 seconds, all levers forward, flaps are up, and landing gear up. What you must recognize immediately, just to review this subject so it sticks in, since the prop on the dead engine will still be spinning, the instruments may not be the best source of information, because there will probably still be some RPM showing on the dead engine because the prop hasn't been feathered yet. So look out the window, see which way the nose is yawing. It yaws toward the dead engine. Feel the rudder pedals with your feet. Dead foot, dead engine. So the pedal that mushes down is the dead foot, so that's the side of the dead engine. The pedal that's hard to push is the working foot, because you've got to work real hard to press that pedal. So the working foot is the same side as the working engine. And finally, look at the turn and bank indicator. The ball will be shifted toward the working engine, or the rectangle will be deviated from underneath that triangle toward the working engine. Okay, dead foot, dead engine. I try to get into the habit of pulling my dead foot all the way back, because I don't need that foot on the pedal. It's just going to get in the way. And if I pull my dead foot all the way back under the seat, it helps to remind me which engine is dead, because the foot that's pulled back is the side of the dead engine. So that's just another way that helps remind me of what side the dead engine is. And again, my working foot will be on the side of the working engine. So here's an example. Once again, the ball or the slab will deviate toward the working engine. And what we want to do is we want to raise the dead engine up a little bit, because that side's going to have a little bit less lift than the side of the operating engine. Again, here's that slab. It's centered now, but it would be deviated toward the working engine, whichever engine was working. And down at the bottom of this picture, you'll see a ball too. And this ball at the bottom of the picture is in the doghouse. And that ball would also be deviated toward the working engine. And raise the dead. So again, what we want to do is we want to raise the dead engine about 3 degrees higher than the working engine. In the top picture, you see both engines running, and in the bottom picture, you see the engine on our left is not running, so that's the one you want to raise a little bit higher than the running engine. So identify the dead engine. Immediately follow your clues that we've just mentioned to identify the dead engine. Dead foot, dead engine, turn and bank ball or rectangle deviated toward the side of the working engine, and the nose of your aircraft yaws toward the dead engine. Those are important clues you need to recognize right away. Verify the dead engine. Once you think that you have identified which engine is dead, pull back on the throttle of the engine you think is dead. If there's no change in sound or speed, you've chosen correctly. If there is a change in sound or airspeed, you've chosen incorrectly, and push that throttle back forward and choose the other engine throttle. So again, if there's no change in sound or speed, you've chosen the correct side for the dead engine. Once the dead engine is verified, pull the throttle back rearward, all the way back. Pull the prop all the way back rearward to the feathered position. This will make the prop blades be parallel to the oncoming wind, and will make the propeller produce much less drag. So in the feathered position, the propeller produces much less drag. And pull the mixture back rearward, because if the engine's not running, you don't need fuel going to it and risk a fire or fuel leak. Okay, now things are relatively under control because you've identified and you've verified and you've done everything we talked about so far. Now you can check the fuel tank selector levers to see that they're in the appropriate positions and one of them didn't accidentally get kicked to the off position. You can check the magneto switches to see they're in the proper position. And you can check the fuel quantity to see that you've got fuel in the side of the wing where the dead engine is. And if there's no fuel in that wing, you can change to crossfeed so you can get fuel from the other wing. And you want to secure the dead engine. So for the dead engine, once you've checked everything, you want the fuel off, the magneto's off, the alternator's off, and check again that the prop is in a full feathered position. Again, folks, thanks for watching. This is a very important topic. And again, this was a very quick discussion by myself, an experienced twin engine pilot who is not a flight instructor. This was only an introduction to engine out procedures. You need to get appropriate flight training from a CFI, a certified flight instructor for twin engine aircraft. So that would be a CFI who's also an MEI, multi-engine instructor. Okay, nieces and nephews, God bless you all and thank you for watching. Fly safely, get high quality instruction, and stay proficient while you're flying twins. Thank you very much.